they say that you never step into the same river twice. But then, why does it feel like the same river? If we know that people change every day, if you're a new person every time you wake up, why do people still see you as the same person? When trying to change yourself, when trying to make an improvement in your life, why can it feel like you are betraying your most authentic version of yourself? When it comes to change, when it comes to growth, when it comes to the feeling of times passing, I think there is an element of hopelessness, a feeling that no matter what you do, you're going to change. You cannot stop yourself from changing, and you better just strap yourself in and get used to it, because every single decision is going to alter your path, change your direction in unexpected ways, and you don't know where you are going. You think you know where you're going. You think you know the direction that you're headed in. But if you ask yourself where you thought you were going 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago, you'll find that your vision for your life has become drastically different. Similarly, if you compare how you used to be and what you used to do to what you do today, you'll find that you really have changed. And so the question becomes, have you betrayed yourself? Have you done something irrevocable to yourself, harming your fundamental DNA, your core, your soul, your essence? Or have you simply been alive? Being alive seems to indicate a natural transitory state. Aliveness is a state of constant change and transformation. But the question is, are we really transformed in the first place? Did you change from one person to another? Or was you yesterday and is you today? While we can debate the grammar and articulation of such phrases, the goal to me is, the interpretation to me is that, yeah, you were yourself yesterday and you are yourself today. It's just that that person that you were yesterday is a different person than the you that you are today. And when it comes to the question of authenticity and how to be authentic when practicing life change, this is something that I have wrestled with ever since I came to aspire to be a polymath. I used to hold to the idea that people could be assigned different personality types, and now I hold to a more complicated question, a question of whether maybe we don't have such categories in the first place. Maybe all our doors are open to us all the time, and we can choose which one to open whenever we want to. The most important question for me is, yes, you can change, but that doesn't mean that change is inauthentic. So how do you reconcile authenticity with change? Well, first, you recognize that authenticity is listening to yourself, honoring yourself, thinking, reflecting, journaling, and being with yourself and how you really feel. And by asking yourself this question, is this my decision to change, or is it somebody else's? Did I decide to change, or did I just do what other people told me to do? Did I want this, or did I just do it because other people wanted this? And with that, the question of authenticity is a question of really just reflecting on whether you are the person that wants to change, or whether it was somebody else all along. And yes, this suggests that you can change for the wrong reasons. You can choose to change to prove something to somebody, to please somebody, to get approval, or to avoid criticism or ridicule. But ultimately, the most important question is, do I fundamentally believe that I am doing the right thing by making this change in my life? And so here, the greatest misconception of people when making projects to change themselves, when choosing to lose weight, to work out, to get more productive, to get a certain job or to get a certain education, the biggest confusion people make is they confuse pride with authenticity. And here, I don't mean pride as in the feeling of feeling good about something or that you have done. I mean pride in the more foolish sense, the kind of pride that we kind of hold when we cling to a past romanticized image of ourselves. Because the truth is, while we don't like a lot of things about ourselves, we still find something romantic about the mistakes that we've done, about the flaws that we hold, about the mistakes that we make, because they were our mistakes, our choices in those times. That was what we thought was the right thing to do in those times, and we thought so for often good reasons. We were socialized, brought up, educated, and we were put in certain environments, and we developed certain ways of dealing with such situations. And sometimes those decisions were elegant, smart, clever, interesting, and perhaps no longer right, but still, they were interesting, right? And so, yeah, you can look back at mistakes you made in the past, things you've done, and you can look at that and you can think, I don't agree with that, but I get why I did that. And so when somebody says, hey, why don't you change that about yourself? You probably will want to feel a bit defensive, because who are you to judge me for the things that I have done? I had good reasons to do these things. I was smart. I was being smart doing all these things. I think that the things that I did while wrong were fundamentally right at the time. And who are you to tell me what to do? I might want to do this. I might really want to make that commitment. I might even agree with you. But the fundamental question is not whether you think I should change. It's whether I think I should change. And yeah, when people then tell you, you need to stop doing this, or you need to change that about yourself, you need to ask yourself, do I want to do that? Do I believe that? Do I agree with that? Do I think that's right? And if I do, that's the most important thing. Here, many people would choose to rebel, choose to say, no, I'm not going to change that just because you said that. But of course, choosing to rebel against what somebody else thought is the wrong thing to do if you believe it's the wrong thing to do. And choosing to do what you think is right is always the right thing to do. You can easily unmask the question of whether it's pride or shame by just asking yourself this simple question. Does my action stem from a state of defensiveness, or does it stem from vulnerability? Am I being vulnerable, or am I being defensive? If you're being defensive, it's probably pride, and it's probably a fake pride. Hidden behind it is a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of feelings of not being good enough, of not honoring yourself, of not living your best version of your life. Because you have a higher self. You have always this idea, this knowing, this deep inner knowing of what the ultimately right thing to do is. But here, you also have that romanticization, that feeling, the mask, the desire to hold up a strong front, the desire to show confidence in ignorance. And those two are both sides of yourself. Vulnerability asks you something completely different. Vulnerability asks you how you really feel, and it asks you to reveal to other people, your loved ones, your friends, your family, your deepest thoughts and questions. Because ultimately, when other people bring up uncomfortable questions for you, the most scary thing to do is to follow those questions along. When another person asks you, how you really doing? To really think and say, hey, yeah, I have these doubts about this. I have these uncertainties about this. I don't feel good about this. I do question this. I do want to do this differently. I do feel like I want to make this change. Because when we think of authenticity, I tend to hold to the idea of the soul as the DNA. The DNA is the spiritual word for DNA is the soul. The DNA is the fundamental code by which we live. But the DNA is a response to an environment. The DNA is not an arbitrary black and white set of instructions. Do this and don't do that. We can't read DNA to predict people's behaviors. We can read DNA to predict how a person might respond to a specific environment or a specific certain form of stimuli. But we can't use DNA to predict what a person fundamentally is going to do in any situation, because there are a billion different environments and stimuli and situations. And so DNA in combination with environment produces almost infinite amount of variables. Yes, almost anything is possible. Anything could happen. You're not stuck in your soul or in your DNA. It's just that your DNA is moving through an infinite amount of iterations. Every day is a new day. Every river is a new river. And every day of you is a new you. So, what do? I think just courageously, passionately hold to the feeling of being alive. Let life sweep you along. Let it show you amazing, beautiful, and wonderful experiences that will fundamentally transform your being. Let yourself be led. Let yourself be transformed every day. Experience the beautiful process of alchemy and metamorphosis, and see where it is all going to take you. And, leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all in the next video.